Okay, so I am going to do a very quick test today, right? So I have two cars here. Basically what I want to do is to see the difference between gyros, right? One of them I'm using on my MJ, I'm using the version 2 gyro, and on my BMRX I'm using a version 3 gyro. I know that these two are very different cars, but they are there's something very weird in terms of the behavior, and this is new to me. I'm not sure whether you guys have experienced this before, but let me see if I can capture this on video and try to explain it as I go. I'll start with the MJ RC, and this is running on the V2 gyro. Okay. I'm doing a clockwise drift, as you can see, and if you can, I'm not sure if you notice in my hand, I'm actually compensating the drift, or I'm actually counter steering. So the car is moving clockwise, but I'm actually steering anti-clockwise, right? So I'm steering the opposite direction, and this is the V2 gyro, right? So I'm actually giving more counter steer, right? I'm actually feeding in more counter steer. This is again the V2. It's a little bit wobbly, so I have to reduce the gain. So what I'm basically doing is actually feeding in more counter steer. Okay, I'm not sure whether this is normal or not. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. So you can see I'm trying to do some clockwise, I'm drifting it clockwise, but I'm actually feeding counter steer, right? So I'm actually feeding it the opposite direction. So in my remote, I'm actually giving very small inputs in the counter direction, in the opposite direction the car is drifting. Right? In a way, I'm just feeding in a lot more counter steer. That's what I'm doing here. So it's actually a lot of play around. I'm like steering and counter steering at the same time, but all very micro adjustments. But there's a lot of work on my part to get it to actually drift. Okay, so I'm going to change it to the V3 on my BMRX. So I'm changing to my BMRX, right? And I'm going to do the same, which is clockwise. And when it starts drifting, I'm doing the same in the BMRX right now, which is drifting it in circles counterclockwise, but I'm actually turning into the circle. You can look at my hand remote. I'm actually giving signals for it to turn in, and this is the V3 gyro. This again is something new to me. I'm not sure which is the correct. It's definitely a lot easier to control in this V3. The counter steering is definitely handled by the gyro, and I'm just steering it into the drift as much as I like it. Again, it's a very different drift experience for me. Feels a lot more controlled though. Yeah, so this is the difference between the V2 and the V3. Again, I'm not sure which one is the right one, or is there like a correct way to do it. The V3 with the dual rate and the end points really make a huge difference in terms of handling. The V3 definitely feels a lot easier to control, a lot easier to handle, whereas the V2, I feel like I need to work a lot harder to get the same results, and it's so hard to get the same results. It's so hard to keep it in control. So yeah, I know it's different cars, but this is what I observe. Two very different driving cars. Well, if you have any opinions on this, I would like to hear about it. Okay, thanks.